All right, welcome to the October meeting of TriEmbed. Any announcements?
All Things Open's coming up. I don't know how many of y'all are going to that, but that's another week or so.
Is that
20,
in Raleigh,
yeah,
downtown at the convention center or something?
yeah, at the convention center. Actually, it's the week of. Anyway, always cool. I'm not sure if they're doing the riot thing with the internet thing stuff on the first night or not, but
Okay,
yeah, October 27th through 9th. Yeah, so it's the week of Halloween, really Monday and Tuesday that week.
27th.
28th and 29th, actually. That 27th is usually like
Raleigh.
diversity, governance, things like that, and all the tech things are on Monday and Tuesday.
So, PCB Carolina is at the McKimmon Center. Let me look it up, make sure I give you the right date. On Wednesday, November 13th. It's free to attend. You'll get a t-shirt and lunch, maybe even breakfast if you go early. There's an exhibition hall with a lot of PCB CAD people, PCB fabrication people, assembly houses, some wiring houses, harness houses, parts suppliers. Anything else going on? Alrighty, let's do our problem of the month. Share. All right, is that showing on everyone's screen?
I see it.
Okay.
I see it.
All right. So the hummingbirds have left. This is a graph of the weight of my hummingbird feeder. So the big zigzags are going up is when I refill it. Going down is when the hummingbirds are sucking it dry. And then long around October 7th, they stopped visiting the feeder. It was almost empty, just coincidentally. There's an interesting little wiggle that you can see if you go back while they're feeding as well. It seems to collect a little bit of dew overnight and get heavier. So most mornings it's a little heavier than it was when it
It zags up on
overnight.
the big down.
Yeah, I mean you can see these little ups.
Yeah.
It has a little cup on the top that collects rain. That's by design. Ants like to climb down onto your hummingbird feeder and
Oh yeah.
collect the nectar and go back up. And having that little pool on
The
top
moat.
creates a moat.
Yeah.
So sometimes, like this big thing is probably from a rain event. This is probably a rain event. So the hummingbirds are gone. This is kind of what it looks like. You can see the little moat area here. So I got some electronics out here that measure the weight of what's hanging on it. And I guess it's looking for a job to do until the hummingbirds come back in April.
I mean, your
So, any
electronics for
idea what
this
I
thing
should?
are?
It's an Arduino.
I just mean you mean the electronics for this are looking for a job?
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe that device that is hanging in line with the feeder previous, right? So it's this piece right here has the Arduino and the battery and this aluminum bar strain gauge that detects how much force is pulling down on it. So this is going to go in the garage till next spring, but I'm wondering, what should I do with this for the next 5 months or so? Or should it just go into the garage as well?
It measures hanging weight up to 1 kilogram, you say?
Yep. So what other things could we weigh? I guess if we found it a permanent job, I could make another one in the spring. I've thought of um, putting a house plant on it, and you could tell when it needed to be watered by watching the weight decrease. I do have house plants that are out in the driveway now that will be coming in probably next week or so once we start getting nights down into the lower 40s, upper 30s. I need to bring them in before they get frosted.
You could put some meat on it, and I'm sure that there are carnivorous birds, but that would be training them. And when the hummingbirds come back, they would. But crows.
You can put some suet, so a different kind of a bird feeder
Yep.
that needs to be refilled. That's a good idea. Yep. One of the problem of the months a while back was these house plants that I have. Several of them I move in and out all winter long. They come in when it's cold and they go back out when it's warm. Um, and I wanted a way to know whether they were inside or outside. These are 8 feet tall and weigh, 70 or 80 pounds. I have a hand truck that I use to roll them in and out of the garage. So attaching it directly to this device is not an option. But putting some
Your
kind of a
cabin, you'll know where they are. You'll know if they're in or out. Is that the deal? If like you're not home.
my concern is if it's gonna freeze tonight and I forget to bring them in, that they spend the night out and the frost kills them.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, so I want to monitor. I need one bit to say whether I've moved them in or not, and monitor the nearby temperature and alarm if they're out and it gets cold.
What was that hummingbird? That was transmitting to another device. Is that right? Or to your Raspberry Pi
That
or something?
yeah, it does ESP now to another ESP that then sends an MQTT message to a topic on my broker.
Uh-huh. So it wouldn't have to be using the strain gauge. You could use some other sensor on there, or is it really set up for that? Like maybe you could use the other parts with a different remote station.
That's an option, I guess. I have plenty of ESP
ESPs.
8266s lying around that I could use one of them. Because you could weigh shampoo in a shampoo bottle. That seems kind of a stretch, but
What's the is that battery powered, that
it
electronic?
is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Was it just wakes up every now and then and does a reading?
Yeah. It's currently set to once every 15 minutes. That is easy to change.
Yeah.
If you do it too often, then you suck the battery down and you have to charge it frequently. But I get a notification on my cell phone when it's time to add nectar to the feeder and when it's time to charge the battery. Probably one of very.
How long does the battery last?
Well, let's go back to. I'm not sharing anymore, right?
No.
No.
Okay, hang on. Let me. So about a month, a little bit less, 4 weeks maybe. And it's a relatively straight line so that you can get a nice power gauge out of it for how much is remaining. And I imagine that if you woke up twice as often, you would use it up in half the time. All right, no other ideas?
So one thing you could possibly do with your plants that you wheel into the garage is have some little gentle hook on the end and connect it to a branch on one of the plants so that it's just tugging on it a little versus not, to let you know when the plant is in the garage.
Okay.
It's a stretch, but anyway.
Yeah.
Well, literally.
Or maybe a little bungee cord or something.
Yeah.
Something that, I thought about just attaching a weight to it when I bring things in. That would require me to be properly trained and do it consistently. But I like your idea. If I hook up a rubber band or a bungee cord or something from one of the plants to the strain gauge, that would work. Hello, Pete.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
miracle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good to see you.
Yeah, you too.
We're doing the problem of the month. The hummingbirds have left for the winter, and I have a device that weighs the hummingbird feeder, and I'm thinking of what possible uses there are for it in the off season.
Birdseed?
Okay. Yep. We talked about a different kind of a bird feeder that we could weigh.
As an FYI, I have two bird feeders with sunflower seeds, and I'm not exaggerating. I'm going through about 3/4 of a pound or a pound of sunflower seeds every day. So they're just going crazy right now. it's peak season for birds.
Okay.
Birds and not squirrels.
Believe it or not, my feeders are squirrel proof, and
Okay.
I have video to prove it. It's funny, pretty funny watching them be
Attempt.
frustrated.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but it is actually possible to do squirrel proof.
So do you think that the birds are eating all of them, or I've seen where birds will just kind of, especially if you have a mixture and they're looking for the sunflower seeds, they just scatter all the other ones out because they don't really want the millet and the milo and the whatnot.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. I'm using 100% sunflower seeds, and by my observation, some of the birds are just clumsy as all get out, and so they will knock the seeds over the edge. But there's a whole ecosystem underneath. So about 15 feet below the bird feeders, there are mourning doves, squirrels, and other different kinds of birds. They're doing their best, but it's true that a fraction goes over the side. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I've thought about having a bird feeder that meters out the seeds. Right. I don't want all the birds to become too dependent on it. Right. And so if there were a way to just give them a little bit at a time, so that you didn't go through a pound a day, maybe only put out a quarter of a pound a day, they wouldn't be as happy, I guess. But
Maybe there'd be more
But the other variable is the number of birds, and I can't tell you, any real numbers, but my impression is we're feeding a lot of birds, a very large number, and not just regular birds, but woodpeckers and all kinds. So if it's available, it draws in, at least around here, it draws in a humongous number.
okay.
It looks like Chicago O'Hare on steroids. That's what it looks like.
That's cool. Yeah, I used to do a bird feeder, but I haven't in the past 5 or 6 years, I think.
Well, along those lines, I think a lot of the squirrel-proof things operate under the assumption that squirrels are heavier than birds. So you're talking about a strain gauge. Maybe you could make a squirrel aversion, use it for a squirrel aversion on your bird feeder.
Okay. To detect when a squirrel's hanging from it,
Mm-hmm.
and energize the motor to give it a spin.
Or whatever. Squirt some water. Yeah.
Or the current limited voltage.
Current limited voltage.
Or not, as the case may be. I mean, you could have squirrel burgers.
1 capacitor's worth.
Yeah. I mean, I have some damn big capacitors.
You do, Nick. All right. Any other comments? All right, then I'll turn it over for show and tell. Has anybody done anything in the last month?
I've been hacking around. You remember how I was asking a question last month about my LED matrix that was dropping down from pulling the 5 volts down?
Rounding out
Y'all
the
talked about
processor. Yep.
Yeah. So what I did was I bought these regulators, and by default, they output 3.7 volts. I mean, there's dip switches to change it, or I don't even know if it was dip switch. You could do something to change the output, but there was a little tweaking pot. But when I measured it, it was like 3.7 right when I got it, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to feed the. I'll put my 5 volts into that and feed the LED with that, since that's what it seems to want. It's dropping it down to that anyway. It worked great. So yeah, that was. I don't know what's
so just
happening
by
there, but
putting it through a power regulator, that seemed to cure the problem.
yeah, I was trying to feed it directly. I mean, directly 5 volts,
Yeah.
which I think it says it wants, but it was pulling it down to 3.7 anyway. So yeah, I put it on this voltage regulator that takes 5 to 12 volts in, and will do 3.3 to 9, or whatever, with a little
Yeah.
knob that you tweak. And it was just on, basically just happened to be on the same voltage this thing was pulling it down to. And I was like, well, if that's what it wants, I'm just
Okay.
I'm gonna leave it there. That works great.
What did you say is driving it?
What's driving it? Well, I got these cool little things that you just plug a USB-C into, and then it's got 3 dip switches, and you can set the output and how to set the 5 volts, and it's got little screw terminals that you can put the let's see, I can maybe show you if I anyway. There's my mouse.
Excuse me.
I'll turn my camera on. I can show you what it's doing here. Is it on? There we go. But I have to stop my blur.
I'm gonna turn mine off just to save bandwidth.
How do I stop the blur? Well, maybe if it's moving, I'll show you. Anyway, you can see if you see it here. Where's my battery? Let's see here. If I get out of the picture, maybe you can see it. No, still blurring. Hold on.
It's all totally blurred.
Put it near your face. That's because your face is what doesn't get blurred. So if you hold it like under your chin, we should be able to see it.
Select background. None. Okay. There we go. Okay, so here we go. This is my little, I'm going to be a robot with a game on its stomach for Halloween. So this is my little thing here.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cute.
And
complete with the emergency cutoff switch.
Oh yeah, exactly. It doesn't work, but I got that. My dad worked at Square D. So anyway, I don't know if you can see, this is this little power thing that I had. It takes USB-C and outputs whatever voltage. It's 5 volts coming out of there. And then this is my little regulator. And of course the ESP32C. And that all works fine. And lately what I've been doing is, like you saying, doing ESP now. So I got this little controller. I need to do some other stuff, but I stole some buttons out of a kid's electric guitar. And if you press these buttons, it's a game. I got it wrong because I'm looking the wrong way. And it's just like, there you go. I got 2 right. My maximum was 999. So it plays a little game. You press the button. Got that one right. Got that one right. It's pretty tricky to get this right backwards, but anyway, it kind of obscures it. There you go. I got 6, and 918 milliseconds was my fastest reaction. So yeah, that's what I've been messing with. I just need to get another I don't know. I've been dealing with hookups and stuff, and you know, I used to have these little lipstick size power banks for USB, and they don't sell those anymore. So anyway, I was trying to find something that I could take apart and have fit in my little case here to power this ESP32. But anyway, I went to Five Below and found one that was small enough. So I just still have a little packaging left to do. But yeah, that's my project I'm messing with right now. And the ESP now works really well. I was surprised. Very fast, like it was almost as I didn't really notice any millisecond difference on the reaction time when I moved it from being on a GPIO pin on the same micro to being coming from a second one.
Cool. So are you planning on playing it on your chest, or is somebody else supposed to play it?
Yeah, no, like I'll be wearing the thing, right? Like
it's gonna be hard to see the screen, right?
No, I won't be playing it. I'm gonna hand it to some people and let them play,
Okay.
right?
All right. Okay.
And that's why it's wireless, so they can like, they can play it. So yeah, that's how it's gonna be. But I got to wear it to Run Club, and the rule with Run Club for the competition is that you actually have to run in it. So that'll be interesting.
I'm so sorry if I didn't have my mic muted earlier while I was eating. Sorry about that.
We didn't hear you. I didn't hear you.
I got from Amazon some. They were only $8-9 a piece. They're little carriers that take the ESP, both of the ESP form factors, and they have one for Raspberry Pi Nano Picos, and it just takes the
breakout
the
to
pins
screw
out
terminals.
to screw terminals.
That's cool.
And that's and all the terminals are nicely labeled, and so they have them for both form factors for the ESP, and they have them for the Raspberry Pi Picos, and they just make life simpler. The pins are labeled, and you can put screw terminals into them.
You don't
and
have to
say they were how much were they? They were they were $11 for two of them.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be very handy.
That's they just make life simpler.
Getting those 24, 28 pin things in and out of breadboards is an issue.
Yeah, and when you're prototyping, and sometimes you like want to change where you're putting it into, but you soldered it, and then you've soldered it, and you try to solder the wire to the wire, and then all that stuff. Like,
it's which is the RS-232 pins, and all the pins are nicely labeled in big font.
Yeah.
So I can let's see. I'll see if I can post it to the group. Yeah, they were cheap enough, and I said they have them for the Raspberry Pis, the Picos, and they keeping a couple ESPs and a couple Raspberry Pis plugged in. Yeah, I can wire stuff up quickly. It just simplifies things.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see if I can show you my. Something happened. Is it coming? Here you go. This is my desk. I've got my little reference sheet right there under the glass of the ESP32 C3 dev kit.